Hi, good morning and good evening, friends. Whatever time and wherever you are watching this video, first of all, I welcome you all to our channel, FinPulse. Here we aim to simplify the complex world of financial and capital markets for you. Our goal is to empower you to handle your investment and personal finance easily yourself. From stock market trends to smart saving strategies, we cover everything you need to know. We break down complex data into actionable insights to help your money grow. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned investor, there is something here for everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest financial tips. Welcome! Today we are exploring the great reset of the global order. As the unipolar era shifts toward a multipolar landscape, the investment playbook is being rewritten. From the AI driven intelligence revolution to the reindustrialization of the West, massive structural shifts are underway. These transitions aren't just geopolitical, they are fertile ground for the next decade's multi-bagger stocks. Let's break down the sector's position for exponential growth in this new era. Let's begin. Since 2016, the world has been hit with one shock after another, whether you name it Brexit, or a US-China trade war, or a pandemic, or Russia invading Ukraine, Hamas attacks on Israel, and Houthi militants disrupting the Red Sea, and now a full-blown war in West Asia. If you told an investor in January 2016 that the next decade would look like this, they'd have braced for a lost decade in the markets. Instead, the Nifty has multiplied nearly 4 times. And global trade, the thing everyone said deglobalization would kill, just hit a record high. Today, I want to show you why this contradiction is actually the biggest investment opportunity of this decade and exactly which parts of the Indian market are positioned to benefit. So continue watching the video till end, and by the end of this video you'll know the probable multi-bagger sectors where institutional money is quietly rotating into. Let's get into it. Number 1, the New World Order. What's actually changed here? For decades, roughly from 1980 to the mid 2010s, the world ran on what's called the free trade consensus. Open borders for goods, capital chasing the cheapest labor, and countries specializing in whatever they were best at. That consensus broke down starting with Brexit in 2016, followed by US tariff policy. And since then, it's been one escalation after another. The pandemic brought vaccine nationalism and border closures. Then Russia invaded Ukraine. Then the Afghanistan withdrawal and new security alliances like AUKUS. Then Hamas attacked Israel while BRICS expanded its membership. Then Houthi attacks disrupted shipping in the Red Sea. And now we're in the middle of a renewed military conflict in West Asia. If we will look closely, the pattern is clear. Nations are turning inward, protecting domestic industries, securing their own supply chains, emphasizing self-reliance over efficiency. Now here is where most people get the story wrong. Number 2, the paradox. Trade is thriving, not dying. You would expect all this conflict and inward-looking policy to shrink global trade, but it hasn't. Global trade as a share of world GDP has actually risen from 54% in 2016 to 68% in 2025. That's not a small tick up. That's an all-time high, even higher than the peak we saw just before the 2008 financial crisis. Global trade in dollar terms is now approaching $69 trillion, growing at around 7% a year, and India's own trade to GDP ratio sits at 46%. So why does trade keep growing in a world that's supposedly closing itself off? Here are 4 reasons. Number 1, supply chains are rerouting, not disappearing. Instead of trading directly between rival blocs, trade is flowing through connector countries. When the West Asia conflict threatened the Strait of Hormuz, crude oil supply simply got rerouted around it. The shock got cushioned, not stopped. Number 2, services trade is very hard to restrict. You cannot put a tariff on a video call like IT consulting, finance and travel. All of this invisible trade keeps growing. The third is AI and green energy are creating entirely new trade flows that didn't exist in the old order. Last and fourth one, emerging markets are trading more with each other. As the West pulls back, countries in Asia, Africa and Latin America are signing more bilateral deals. Hence we can say the world isn't deglobalizing, it's rerouting. And for a country like India sitting at the center of several of these new routes, that's a massive opportunity. Now let's see the Nifty scorecard through the chaos. Let's ground this in markets. look back at the Nifty 50's journey since January 2016, every single major geopolitical shock of the last decade, if you will see, is marked on the chart. And through every single one of those events, the index kept climbing. The index rose from around 7,000 in January 2016 to over 24,000 today, roughly a four-fold return, while the world was supposedly falling apart. This is not luck, it is because the new world order is actively creating specific pockets of demand inside the Indian economy. And that's where we go next. So the next question is where the opportunity is hiding. By now you might be curious about identifying those multi-bagger sectors. We can call it a next multi-bagger theme. Let's see the first theme, capex driven demand for capital goods. Every country wants energy security, defense manufacturing, data centers and electronics built on home soil. You can't do that without large turnkey capex projects, and capital goods companies are the ones executing them. Second theme, commodities and resources. Supply shortages plus robust demand are pushing up commodity price realizations. This directly improves earnings and justifies fresh capex in mining and metals. Third theme is corporate releveraging and credit growth. As companies commit to this new capex cycle, they are borrowing again and again. This is great news for lenders and NBFCs after nearly a decade of deleveraging. Fourth theme, new age sectors, data centers, green energy, EV, semiconductors, and e-commerce dark stores. These sectors are the one all riding secular growth completely independent of the geopolitical noise. Theme 5, discretionary consumption and financialization. As per capita income rises, Indians are spending more on discretionary goods. They are putting more savings into financial markets rather than just gold and property. The last one, sixth theme, exports to new partners. Think Indian two-wheeler and pharma companies now selling into Latin America, Africa and Asia. Plus developed markets like the UK and EU are opening up through fresh bilateral trade agreements. So all these 6 themes pointing toward the same conclusion: manufacturing, defense, energy, commodities, consumption and financial services are where the next multi-bagger leg is likely to come from. Now there's a point to observe that the capex cycle is only just inflecting. Here's a chart that should get your attention. Corporate capex in India's listed space is now approaching 13 trillion rupees, finally breaking past the previous cycle peak of around 6 trillion rupees that was seen over a decade ago. Now if someone analyzes, they can draw a direct comparison to the 2001 to 2004 period, which was the quite a build-up phase right before the explosive 2003 to 2008 boom. And this isn't just about 2 or 3 giant companies. The number of listed companies spending over $100 million in capex has broadly risen. It's a broad-based cycle. If history rhymes even partially, we could be in the early innings of a multi-year capex super. Now let's evaluate the defense story specifically. Let's zoom in on one theme that deserves special attention. India's defense production has more than doubled in the last 5 years alone, and defense exports have grown roughly 25-fold over the past decade, from just 15 billion rupees to nearly 384 billion rupees. This is not a one-time policy, it is a sustained trend driven by the geopolitical tensions we are open with. Every push for self-reliance funnels back into demand for domestic defense. With all this said, the big question lies in which stocks to pick for your long-term investment. Answer is simple. Go through all companies across these sectors and find those players who are able to grow revenue consistently year on year. Then out of those, look for stocks which are having a PE less than 20, so that the amount you invest today has headroom for expansion as the PE rises over the year. Remember, this video is for educational purposes only. Nothing here is investment advice, and you should always do your own due diligence or consult a SEBI listed advisor before investing. Hope this analysis helped you to see the bigger picture. For more such insightful finance content, hit subscribe on FinPulse channel and press the bell icon for notifications. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.